Everyone, good evening.
Hello. Yeah, good evening, please.
Just give me a moment.
Professor Monisha Ghosh, are you here?
Yes, sir. I'm in.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so our next session will be moderated by Professor Monisha Ghosh. So I hand over the session to Monisha ma'am.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the permission for handling this session. So, good evening, everyone present in this session. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to the sixth session of building scalable AI solution for startups of the ongoing ATAL FDP in today's first place world, where startups are the lifeblood of innovations. AI is one of the most transformative technologies of our time. This session aims to explore how startups can leverage AI to not only enhance their products and services but also scales their operations efficiently. We are honored to have with us a panel of distinguished speakers, each bringing a wealth of experiences and unique perspectives of how AI can be effectively integrated into startups. Now, without further ado, let us begin this exciting journey into the world of AI and startups. Please join me in this welcoming sessions of our distinguished speaker, Dr. Munmun Das, technology leader, Gen AI and data engineering, Accenture. Dr. Munmun Das is a strategic IT leader and applied data scientist with over 18 years of global experience in diverse leadership roles. Her research has focused extensively on smart city innovations, exploring how technologies like AI, blockchain, and IoT can mitigate the risk associated with urban development. Dr. Dash has also led several smart city projects in the Middle East, contributing to transformative urban solutions. As a part of her research, she initiated a project that evolved into a commercial venture under the name Shihan Tech Global, addressing critical industry challenges with innovative technology driven solutions. Dr. Das has holds a bachelor degree in electronics engineering from Mumbai University, an MBA in System and Finance, a diploma in Business Analytics from IIM Calcutta, and a master in Investment Finance. I am also a characterized I am pardon. He is also a chartered financial analyst. Recently, she earned her doctoral degree from SSBM Geneva. As a published author and a recognized thought leader, she is committed to driven impactful technologies advancement for sustainable development. Now, I am requesting Professor Dhrubashi Charkar, sir, to say a few words about our today's speaker. Welcome you, sir, also.
Madam, thank you very much, Monisha Madam. Sincere thanks and regards to Dr. Munmun Das for not only for this session, but contributing in all possible ways for the development and growth of our students at the institution. He has visited our campus and he had interacted with the professors and by students also. Many of the students are working and getting her guidance in Tech. Again, our sincere thanks and gratitude to you, Dr. Das. And we all are really looking forward to your session as well.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. How are you all? And a very happy new year also. So I think most of you I have met last year. So let's keep this session a little bit interactive one, because otherwise I will feel little bit, like overwhelmed in talking on such a big topic. So yes, hello everyone.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Good
And
evening.
Hello,
Happy
ma'am.
New
Good
Year to
evening.
you.
Okay, so hope everyone is doing good.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me just share my screen. Let me know that whether it's visible. Just 1 minute. Let me share it again, just 1 minute. Is my screen shared now?
Not yet,
No,
madam.
ma'am. It's not still visible.
Okay. Just let me share it again. Okay, is my screen visible?
Yes, madam.
Like it's coming in the full slideshow, right? Full screen slideshow.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Yeah. If anytime it is not visible, just let me know. I will like share it again. Okay, so today's topic is building scalable AI solution for startup. This topic is very heavy for me. Actually, I am also struggling with my own startup, but definitely like from my like experience for last 18 years, over 18 years, like probably I have built many solutions and kind of helped driving projects globally, and also have led global teams. So from that perspective, how AI solutions can be built and how it is scalable, and how also AI can help a startup to grow, like all the aspects we can see on this session. So just a thing that I want to ask everyone, that little bit be interactive, because otherwise I will understand that if there is any gap, like where, like if I'm speaking and you are not understanding, then just keep on asking questions, then I will stop and answer your questions first and then move ahead. Okay, so most of the things I think about me, Momita has given a good introduction. I think some of the factors which are less known fact, like apart from my work and my like academic background, I am also off-road biker. So that is what I wanted to tell. Like in 2016, I went to Ladakh in my Royal Enfield. I think this experience I shared before also. So that is kind of one achievement I am very proud of. So I could complete the trip entire 3,500 kilometers. That is kind of one of the achievement I have. In Apart from that, I am like I like to read, but nowadays I don't get much time to read much. But whenever I get time, I like to get good books and read that. And also I'm very passionate about coding. So still now, though my job, like I am in a leadership role, so I don't have to develop anything right now. Kind of need to just design and build a strategy. But though my job doesn't ask me, but I am very passionate about coding. I think a single day doesn't go like without coding, because sometimes I doodle code. Like if I'm sitting idle, I just write in the like the pen and paper, I just write the lines of codes. So that is kind of, like the passion I have for coding. So, and also for learning new technologies. So anything is coming up, like newly, I will like tend to learn it. I will tend to implement it. I don't think that everyone has that, because but in IT it is very important, because otherwise the career goes very stagnant. We have to keep ourselves, like very much updated on the latest technology trends. Okay, and so this is the image I have given because sometimes I forget that I had children also, so because of my work pressure. So yeah, so let's start from here. So let's start with a poll. So I will ask you guys, like, what do you think is the biggest challenge of startup using AI? So I will just count your, like votes accordingly. So do you think it's cost? Do you think it's talent? Do you think it's infrastructure or data? You can just give like, like spontaneous answers. It is just, like to understand that uh, what people think about, like using AI, not even for startups. Just think that you are doing a project, you are doing a small initiative. Like, what is the biggest challenge in face in using AI?
Madam, there is an answer from participant Kosto Mukherjee. The answer is C, as per the Kosto Mukherjee.
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
Okay.
And orthogonal, as per the orthogonal, it is B. As per Dr. Mahadev, it is D. As per Ramakrishna Pal, it is C.
Okay, so most goes for
As per sorry to
infrastructure.
disturb, ma'am, again, Dr. Anandarup Roy, C, option C.
Okay, so most of you think it is infrastructure.
Ma'am, it's mixed C, D.
Infrastructure and data. Okay. What else?
I'm sorry to interrupt, madam.
Yeah.
Madam, my humble submission is data, madam, because most of this AI, the LLM which they are using are having a very old cut-off date.
Yes. Okay. So
So
infrastructure and data.
when we are going for that, they doesn't provide us with the present data. So it
Got
will be difficult to go for our market analysis, madam. That's my humble submission, madam.
Okay, so what do you feel like about data? Like, is it like getting the real-time data? That is one of the challenge, or maintaining the data, managing the data?
Getting the real-time data, madam.
Okay, getting real-time data. Okay, anyone else?
So if any participant want to talk with the
Yeah,
speaker,
just
please raise your
unmute
hand.
yourself. Yeah,
Please raise
unmute
your
yourself.
hand.
Go ahead. You can just share your, like feedback, like what do you think? That if even if you want to, like do a small project or a research work using AI, that what do you think that what can be the biggest challenge for you?
Madam, for most of the audience, the option is D.
Okay, so the maximum people think about D.
Madam,
Okay, fine.
D.
Okay, so let's take it forward from here. Okay, so I will start with little bit introduction. Even it is not about startups only, but it will like it is about any AI solution. But since we are talking about scaling up AI for the startup, so I will just say that there are some process of startups, like the step-by-step process, and it starts first with the research step, like where the ideation happens. You do some research on the pain points, and there you get certain ideas that what kind of solution you can bring to solve those pain points. Then it flows to conceptualization or development of the prototypes. So basically the prototype development follows. And then kind of we build, like we validate with the market, then we build the MVP. So basically the MVP is a bigger picture where we commercialize the entire prototype. Kind of we scale it, like it is kind of scalable, that so that it can feel like cater to the customers. And then we market it and launch it. So basically these are the some of the phases of the startup, like till launch, from ideation phase to launch phase. This is kind of some of the broader phases. Now if I talk about for like this, like if I talk about on a broader group, like if you see on a holistic way, so basically the ideation and the concept development, this goes to the formation phase. So where you see that whether the what is the problem, what is the solution, whether the problem solution is like the problem solution fit is there. So those kind of things you see, like you research basically. Then there's a validation phase. So basically, you see that the MVP you have built and the GTM you are following, the go-to-market strategy. So how much like the customers are taking it, or is there any feedback? You have built a MVP, but how to validate it, or how to iterate the feedback on your model, like whatever you have built, how to iterate those feedback on your model. And then the last phase is like when you scale up, actually, like where you get the customer base and you go on like catering to the different customers. Okay, so now if I talk about this, so AI has transformed industries. Also my full screen is visible, like the slideshow is visible, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So when I talk about this, AI has transformed industries and its potential for startups is immense. So startups can leverage AI to optimize operation and to enhance customer satisfaction and gain a competitive edge. Now, if I say about that, how AI can actually, like help in your ideation process, in your concept development, in prototyping, in validation, in your MVP development, launching and marketing and scaling up. So if you see in the different phases here, right from your research steps to your launch step, uh, can you give one example like how AI can help you? See, if I talk about research and ideation, definitely you can actually, like go to different, like the LLM models. You can search for different pain points area. Even if you are, like you have the immense industry expertise, you can actually research on your, like in probable sectors. Like I have researched on the smart city sector, and I have seen that there are some real pain points which corporates are facing. So kind of I have like delve deeper into my research, to like asking some, like taking the like AI, like automation and all. I have collected the data. I have actually I have to collect a huge amount of data, and for that I had to automate the entire web scraping process. I have to collect and see, and then I have to again run the AI model on that to check that what is the result of the data, what is my hypothesis, the hypothesis I have started with, whether it is validating with my, like the hypothesis is getting validated or not. So this research and ideation phase comes with the AI. So AI is helping me there. Now for the concept development and prototyping. Now if you see for the last like 10 or let's say 10 to 15 years, the development has changed rapidly. Like even if you see like before, like 10 years before, if I talk about uh, the way we used to develop, and now if I like after the GPT has come, the way we develop, that is kind of like the, I would say, kind of like there is a hell and heaven difference. Why? Because now we don't expect people like to understand. Even when we are interviewing the developers, we don't actually like asking them any technical questions, because we know that let's say they have to work on Python, or let's say they have to work on React, or let's say they have to work on Next. ChatGPT is there or any other GPT is there that will be helping them. So kind of getting the code snippets and right kind of code snippets and little bit researching on that, making it working for you is not a like a big deal nowadays. So if you see 10 years back to the like the development thing, now the productivity has immensely increased due to AI. So AI has helped in like increase your development, developing the prototyping and all. Now, while developing the prototyping, there are too many things coming into picture. Let's say with like, if I have to talk about like, if I am building an AI solution, okay, like AI is helping me, but if my startup is building an AI solution, then I have to think about like data pipelining, basically the data flow. The one you said that most of the people have like asked for the data, that there is a big challenge for the data, like how to get the data. So I have to think about like how to get the data. So there are different services available, like what kind of data I need, and to build a prototype, I think there are various services which are available right now to get the data, but may not be it's a real-time data. But yeah, to build a concept or a development of the typing, you will get data. If you don't get data, then also sorry, excuse me, then also you can do web scraping, you can do automation of the web scraping, you can actually pipeline your data source, you can build some dummy data, and even you can generate some dummy data with AI. So there are lots of options where you can build your concept. The concept building can be done with your dummy data or production like data, which can be built itself by AI. So data problem is solved. Then comes the infrastructure. If I talk about the infrastructure, lots of cloud services are there. Like you can actually use their auto ML services. In Azure, we have the Azure ML service. In GCP also, we have Vertex AI. In AWS also, SageMaker is there. So lots of auto ML services are there where you can actually build and deploy your AI models. So it is very, like cost effective, and you don't have to think about the infrastructure. You don't have to get a server. You don't have to think about that, how I will, like increase my load balancing and everything. So those things you don't have to think actually. So you just pay as you go. So there are lots of cloud infrastructure, it is available. Then if I talk about the testing part also, testing also is becoming automated testing. So basically we are using automation in testing. So that is also automated. If I talk about, like the other tasks rather than the prototype building in the startups, there are a lot many other tasks are also there, like the human resource task, the financial task, the administration task. Those tasks can be handled very effectively by the robotics process automation, which again uses AI. So basically, these are the tasks which can be very easily handled, while the startup people, the team basically can actually concentrate on the product building, the innovation they are doing. So they don't have to think about the repetitive tasks they have to do. So these things can be very easily handled. Then if I talk about the marketing and the go-to-market strategy, again, for the marketing, I think marketing has seen a very vast change, like what it was 10 years back right now, because content generation is something which is very kind of easily done by AI now. So they are generating content, different kinds of content. It is not only about only text. It is also image. It is also about, like speech, videos. Everything is getting generated with AI, and then they are just fine tuning on those, whatever is generated. Like the first draft is ready. If I want to make a presentation, there are so many AI tools to build a presentation now. So I will have the first draft ready, and then I can go on fine tune it. So it won't take much time. So it kind of increasing my productivity. So if you see the entire ecosystem now, so even you are building AI solution, for the solution itself, we will get so much infrastructure around. And if you can also leverage AI in different phases to build your product or the initiatives. Yeah, any questions so far? Any questions? Otherwise, let's go ahead. Okay, so why scalability is critical for startups? Okay, so I will just little bit want to have it interactive way. So you can see the points on the screen, but let's just talk about your points. Like, why do you think that scalability is so important? Just unmute yourself and talk. Or if you want to give any example of any startup, if you think that you have seen any, kind of something which clicks our mind, so something you have seen, like in near past or present, like how do you think, like why do you think the scalability is very critical? Okay, so one is basically the growth is very important. So when I talk about growth, so if you think about the one application is there called Slack. Have you heard about Slack? It's a communication application. Like people actually connect with in that platform. So have you heard anybody heard about Slack? So it can build a platform that could serve a small team of 10 or scale up to a very large enterprises where thousands of the users are working. So just only by focusing on the scalable infrastructure, startups can allocate their resources to innovation and market expansion rather than by bogged down by operational inefficiencies. So that is like about the growth. Now market adaptability. Now I think in the pandemic, when the corona came during the COVID times, we have seen that there is a sudden boom in the Zoom meetings. So have you seen that Zoom experienced exponential growth that time? And it just, like catered to the market demand. Like it, it actually faced that time. So thousands of users and kind of millions of users were using Zoom meeting suddenly, and it could cater to that because of its scalable architecture. So a startup scalability is very important because startup should be like adaptable to the market demand. So like one example is Zoom. There is another example of Hotstar. I don't know whether you have, like you have seen that millions of users were seeing that Chandrayaan launch. So kind of Hotstar has, like, it was showing that these many users are, like live users are seeing like the launch of the Chandrayaan. So if you remember that, so that's the reason, like scalability is very important for the adaptability. Then the investor happen. So investor also looks into your, like your into your backend architecture, that how you are scalable or not, so that they also knows that their funding will be, just will be used for the exponential growth and not for your operational, like to fix your operational gaps. So they can actually, like see the probable, like the investment capability in your startup. Then operational resilience. So of course that it ensures infrastructure, process, and resources can handle growth without any bottleneck. So there is a, like a seamless operation going on. Then competitive advantage. So of course, if you are scalable, then you have the competitive advantage over other products. I think there are so many fintech products which have come. One is Stripe. It has kind of got the competitive advantage because it was using a very scalable architecture, so it can be, like easily easily was used as a payment gateway system within the business. So any questions, or do you think any other, like critical factors are there, like anyone any other points?
From Costa
Anyone having
Mukherjee,
a question?
there is an answer written in the chat box. What
You
from
can just
team?
talk, just unmute yourself and talk, like one by one.
So if you want
Like
to talk
I'm
with
not,
ma'am, please raise your hand.
yeah, I'm not seeing the chat, but I'm sharing my screen, so just unmute yourself and talk.
Costa Mukherjee, you want to talk with ma'am?
Anyone?
Yeah, any other critical factors you think about? Like if you think about any other critical factors, probably that can be also very critical for the scalability of the startup. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So brief overview on the AI's role. Yeah, go ahead.
Similarity of the product by other startups, madam.
Similarity of the product. Can you give an example?
He
Just an
started
example.
a small startup regarding this fertilizer sales through online, through a e-commerce website. Before he started, he was doing it through a hardware, brick and mortar shop. Once he started online, most of his competitors also, they also started online.
Okay, so like what is the scalability factor here? Like
So that he, when he puts some discounts, they also started putting deep discounts.
so they are following him basically. Like he was reaching the customer base, like the higher customer base, because he has gone online. So the other competitors are actually following him.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
I feel this as one of the factor for scalability, madam.
What is the exact word you said? Like what is a factor which is important for scalability? I will note it.
Similarity of the product in the startups, madam, or similar
Okay,
startups.
similar startups. Okay. So we have seen so far, so many critical factors are there. Like scalability is a very critical for the startup. Now the brief overview of AI's role in startup growth. So some of the things I have already told, like when I discussed the phases of the startup. So basically the automation is a very important factor, and automation is everywhere, like wherever the repetitive tasks are there. So freeing up the resources for the strategic and more innovation, like development things. So we use automation on a day-to-day basis to do our repetitive mundane activities. So there are different platforms, like where you can use some RPA tool, or you can use some scripts to do your automation. Basically, say like for an example, what can be automation example? Let's say that I have to generate some invoices on a day-to-day basis. Okay, and it is kind of the same thing which I am doing. I am just downloading the PDF from the mail. From the PDF, I am inputting, like doing some data entry in my system, and again from that system I am sending a mail. So this is a day-to-day activity, and every time I'm checking my email, the same subject line is appearing, and from the same subject line, similar kind of PDF I'm downloading, and I am putting the same data entry in my system. So these tasks, like if I want to seat, like make one developer or one person to sit for this task, it doesn't make any sense for me. So actually, bot can do this task because there is nothing to think about. There is no human intervention at all needed. So bot can actually download the PDF, open the mail, see the subject line, match the subject line, validate the PDF, and then it can extract the data from the PDF, and then it can input in the system, and it can send the mail also, final mail. So for this entire action, a human task force is not required. So I can put that person maybe for a better role. So automation is everywhere. So we have to think about, even like for the web scraping of the data, like when I talk about, like I have to bring data from the external sources, there are certain scripts which I can generate, which will actually seamlessly keep feeding my data, like web scraping the data, and I can just schedule it. So it will be running on the repetitive basic. It will be keep feeding the mind, like taking the data from the external data sources and like getting the feed for my internal database. So those kind of automations can be done with the like AI. Now, enhanced decision making. So when you have the data driven or the predictive analytics based like the facts and figures are there, you actually get like better decision making. So any examples you find on this, like like anything you have seen in your like recent days, that bad data has actually helped you in taking some decision? Anybody?
So there are many examples. For example, the air quality, temperature, right? So there are many factors where
Many factors,
you
yes.
can. For
Yes,
example, one factor is standardization, which is very uncommon in India, right? Next is the customizations. Third is the
correct.
interoperable. Then how you integrate, just as you mentioned, upload and download. So there is a problem in the organization. So many
Correct.
times people install one system and then they download and then they upload in the other system. So this is a interoperable kind of stuff, right? And maybe that the format could not be supported in that way, right? So rework is there in that way, wastage is there. So there are many policies. Another example. Then framework is another example, right? For instance, if you install the IoT traffic light, and then it has to be linked with your urban mobility and your personal vehicle, so that it indicate and it will give you the real time signal. So this is another example where you can pitch on. So there are a couple of examples and couple of points which
Yeah, these are
we
the examples, but I'm just asking that anything you have faced in the near, like in this, in the, like in the couple of days before, like where you have taken some decision based on data, like
yes,
you have taken some very
for
data-backed decisions.
example, renewable energy project, and it will be installed, let's say, in 100-acre land in Maharashtra, for example. So how do you rectify that the thermal data of solar panel is lower than that of the no in the normal scenario? So in that way you have to take the decision that, okay, so you have to figure it out whether you want to clean the panel so that it raises the productivity and the efficiency of the electricity, and so on and so forth. So of course that is there with respect of data, and that you can do the predictive analysis. Yeah.
Yeah, there are so many things actually. So basically, it is predictive analytics is existing in everything, every sectors. So one of the examples I would like to give from my own project. So basically, I am also working developing a supply chain kind of digital twin. So there also, like based on the data, like we are building a framework where It will help the people or facilitate the users to take decisions based on the predictive analytics on the real-time data. So let's say there are so many things in supply chain like demand and supply. So you have to actually know that whether your stock is going under stock or overstock, whether you have your inventory warehouse capacity or there is no capacity. So all these things, all these decisions. Then like which route to take, whether it's a optimum transportation cost, whether there is like the it's very good weather condition that you can ship on that route. So all those things analytics can help you in taking the decisions. So these are all data driven decisions which a person can take even for every sector. Like this is for a supply chain. The sir has told about this like the energy sector and all. Then there is like for the education, for agrotech, for healthcare. So there are so many things where the decisions are taken based on the real time analytics and the like data driven decisions are taken basically based on the data. So this is basically a very important factor. Then there is improved customer experience. So improved customer experience, when we talk about, it is basically the AI enhances your experience by personalizing the interaction you are providing to your customers. So basically you can build some chatbots, you can build some like some bots which will talk to the customers, like giving them the support as 24/7. I am working in Accenture. In Accenture also there are so many bots which actually like we don't have to ask HR, or like if we have any problem we don't have to ask HR or technical support. So there are so many bots we can go, and there are specialized bots. Like for technical support there is one bot. So anything you want to ask, like if your laptop is having any problem, where to replace it or where to like raise any request, so you can ask the bot. So actually you don't have to interact any human for that. So you can actually free the human beings for those kind of tasks. Then for HR related questions, suppose for holiday related questions, or like the leaves related question, any policy related question, there are all bots, like specialized bots for every like for all the activities. So you don't have to really rely on the human being that okay I have called that person and when he will answer or mail, like revert in mail. We don't really have to do that. So there are bots, like specialized bots for every activities, which is giving you all the services. Then operational efficiencies, like I talk about the supply chain management and in every sector actually. So it optimizes the processes in this like in different sectors. So I don't know which sector you are working, but in kind of all the sectors you will see that AI can help in actually like get you that seamless operation. So basically it improves the interoperability, communication, and also the optimizes your like the basically the uh, operational cost. So that is very important for like any startup whatsoever, or for any business. So optimize your cost or minimize your cost is very important, and maximizing your profit. So that is a thumb rule of any business. So there the operational efficiency actually can be brought by the AI to a large extent. Then innovation accelerator. So it enables faster product development and adaptation to market trends. So this part I already actually explained in the first slide, that how actually AI can help you in the very faster product development nowadays, because development has tremendously like seen that paradigm shift, like what it was in the last 10 years, and after the like after GPT has come and other different LLMs have come, we have seen there is a paradigm shift in the development. So that actually increased the productivity. Though people are talking that yeah, that AI has like is yes, there are some like risks that AI is actually like bringing down the human task force. Like there are so many layoffs happening, but still I would say that there are jobs available which are like you, if you like really talk about the job, and if you are really a skilled resource, there is no limitation of the job. So basically jobs are there, market is there, but the thing is that there is no like there is no like there is a limitation of the like the skilled resources who are actually who are AI like AI basically AI savvy. They know AI, that or they can like leverage AI. They are very resourceful about it. So those kind of resources, there is a limitation in the market, because the things have moved so faster. People haven't like uh, yeah, any questions? Sorry, any questions?
Is there any question from the audience?
Some noise
Is there anyone?
Please unmute. Please
Kindly
mute the
muted
microphone. Please
yourself.
mute the microphone.
Madam, you can now please proceed. All the mics are muted right now. Sorry. Madam, please proceed.
Sorry, someone has put me on mute. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Okay, my screen is visible, right?
No, ma'am. Screen is not yet visible.
Okay. I don't know, something happened right now.
Actually, ma'am, so sorry for the inconvenience. In order to mute the participant, your mic is also muted. That is why we
Okay,
apologize for
no,
this.
no problem, no problem. Okay, just let me know if my full slideshow is visible now.
Yeah. It is on the brief overview of AI role in startup growth.
Right, yeah. Okay. So basically, I was in the last part of it. So what I was talking about, that job is there. Even like we have the faster product development now. So we don't like people have that mindset that AI is actually like replacing the people. Yes, it is happening, but job is there. But there is a limitation of skill resources. Even we are facing the same in Accenture also. Do you have any questions? Like I can stop and answer the questions. Like some noise was coming, so asking.
So if you have any question, then you can please raise your hand.
Yeah, just ask. Go ahead and ask the question. Yeah.
So, ma'am, please proceed.
Anyone from the audience, any question? Kindly raise your hand if you have any question regarding the sessions and this slide.
If you don't have any question, I will ask question at the end. Okay. So that is what I was telling. That job is there, but kind of people's flexibility is there to adapt to the new technology. I think slowly it will happen, but right now there is a deficiency in like there's a skill gap which we are facing in the market. So I think people have to adopt AI and they have to learn AI or they have to leverage AI on the whole. So I think that's like the main objective here. So okay, all right. Now, the key features of scalable AI systems. So first one is definitely the data, which we all agree to, like the big data. So if you see, I have actually divided the screen in the two halves. So first half is telling the holistic things which we need for any, like scalable AI system, building any scalable AI system. So first one is of course the data, like data is a big challenge. Then the model selection or, even the model you select proper, then how to optimize and how to deploy that model, how to maintain that model. The maintainability comes into picture. Then cloud computing. So these three are the main major features like when you build a scalable AI system. But apart from that, we have certain, subdivisions or this, like if you see on a granular level. So there are certain other features which I not want to talk about. So here if you see, scalability in AI encompasses various dimensions, okay, and it is not only about data management, computing resources, model deployment. The architecture of the scalable AI is very important. Real-time data processing. So it is these are the some of the core concepts which are very important. Now, can somebody say what is dynamic resource management or DRM? Anybody? So all these factors are actually we are, like we are actually building in our day-to-day systems. Like whenever we are building any project, AI project, or we are leveraging AI, we are seeing these all these factors.
Look.
So these are not theory; these are very very practical things. Yeah, anybody DRM?
নটার মধ্যে বলে দাও, একটু হয়তো মাঝে 10 মিনিট ওয়েট করতে হতে পারে, নটার মধ্যে বলে।
Sorry, someone is talking. I don't know. Like, is it for me? Like the question?
Sorry for the inconvenience.
Yeah. Any questions? Like, sorry. Any questions so far? No questions, right? So I'm just asking. Like, anybody wants to talk about DRM? Dynamic resource management.
Ma'am, I have a sorry for the interruption, ma'am. I have a question. So, ma'am, you suggested some skill gap. So, in the end of the session, can you please share some your views on these skill gaps and how to modify it and all?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. So dynamic resource management. Anybody can want to talk about it? What is that? Or anybody use it recently? So it is basically, like allocating resources based on your workloads, demands, ensuring optimal performance of the, like during the peak usage. So this is basically, like taken care in the cloud computing. So whenever your workload is increasing, it is kind of automatically allocating your resources or deallocating your resources accordingly. So we see it in the microservices architecture, also in the event driven architecture also. So like this allocation and allocation continuously happen in our message queue, the message queues platforms which we are using, or the service bus. So basically they are kind of, like if any API or the service is down also, they will be, like allocating it to the other instance of it. So kind of it is kind of dynamically it is getting, the resource management is happening. Then distributed computing. So utilizing multiple interconnected nodes, servers or cloud instances to process the large data sets and complex algorithms. So it enhances the processing speed also. So for the big data, generally we use distributed computing, like which kind of, like store data in the multiple nodes, use multiple servers and the clouds instances. So the distributed computing is very important. Then the third factor is modular architecture. Modular architecture is very, very important. We have moved from monolithic to microservices. So wherein we are actually building smaller chunks of code. So basically we are segregating each services. So let me give you an example. Let's say there is an e-commerce site. Okay. Now they have the order service, like the customer is ordering. So kind of maintain that order operations, like any product, they are searching the product code and which customer has bought it and when it is kind of ordered, the date of order and everything, it is maintained. And they have a user service. So basically any new users are registering on this e-commerce site. So they are kind of, like just coming and registering, and maybe they are not buying anything, but they are just registering themselves. So they are, in the previous days, what we have seen is that everything is in the single kind of code repository, or in the, like what we call as monolithic form. So everything is in the single form, and maintainability of such system is very difficult, because let's say these are all small operations which are happening on an e-commerce site, like say ordering service, product service, user service. So basically product, if you want to add a new product to your e-commerce site, that is completely a different service. If you want to add a new user to your e-commerce site, that is a completely a different service. So segregating the work based on the services, like based on the basically the applications, you are segregating the smaller, segregating these processes into the smaller chunks of code so that they are more maintainable. So that is actually the modular architecture, and it is very, very important in nowadays, because let's say your user service is down, but still someone can, like order your product. the order service is working. So the order service doesn't depend on your user service. So basically, it is not like that user service is down, so no other things are happening in the entire site. So the other services are still up. So basically, this is a concept of the modular architecture. Then robust data handling. So robust data handling, there are different methods of, like data pre-processing, data ingestion, data storage. There is a, like the large data scale, like you can actually process the large scale data without having any bottlenecks and without having any low system performance. So actually these cloud systems are giving us a robust data handling. You can do data pipelining, you can build data factories, you can like set up your data frequencies, like in which way you want your data feed, when you want your data feed, what frequency you want your data feed. So all these things you can manage with a robust data handling. Continuous learning and adaptation. So this is basically auto tuning your model. You are like kind of whatever like feedback you are getting, the learning you are getting, you're continuously tuning your model, or like retraining your model based on other user interactions, user feedback, any other data which is getting like coming as a feed. So that it becomes like very much real time. So the model can actually cater to the real time performance. So these are some of the like the critical factors in design and implementation of the AI applications in several reasons. So do you have any questions on this?
Anyone, any question? Dr. Sami Jain was having some question in the last minute. So, sir, do you still have any question? Dr. Sami Jain?
Okay, if you don't have any questions, I will ask some questions. So anyone has handled very large data volume like recently? If so, that how you have handled it and how you have scaled it?
Dr. Jain, you are now unmuted. Please talk.
Yeah, basically, you talk a couple of things, that you work in the smart city, you work in the digital twin, right? So this is in line with the construction and the infrastructure projects, if I'm not wrong, right? So basically, if you say construction, so daily you can generate gigabytes of data from the
Yes.
site. For instance, labor data, material data, operation data, and so on and so forth. So that is an example that if you do a project of 100-acre lands to make the township or commercial buildings, so that is the one area where you can deal the big data, right?
Right.
And the challenge is the adoption. So you cannot apply the technologies in each and every activities of the processes. So you have to select the activities which leads to the productivity and the efficiency, where you can save the money and where you can increase the revenue and the profitability as per the business problem statement, right? So now the first question is the adoption rate. So how do we cater those problems? Because every domain has their own challenges and own uh, sort of opportunities. So how do we convince the adoption rate through the AI? This is the first thing. Second is the how we can satisfy, because in Indian context, the investing money in the domain is very challenging, especially in the construction area, right? So how do we cater this problem? As you mentioned, digital twin. So digital twin is a virtual image, for example, or virtual kind of
Yes.
stuff, right? But the point is, initial level it is okay, but the operation level, how the companies are adopting and how they are going to operate those projects through the digital twin end to end. So that is again a challenge. So there are a couple of things. If I don't know what means, have you worked with those companies or those where you can see all those challenges for dam project or road project or bridge project? I don't know. So if you
Yeah,
highlight
so
some points.
basically, I haven't worked in real estate or construction. This thing like leverage AI and on those like with those companies or projects, I haven't worked. But to answer your question, it is not about only real estate or construction. It is about different sectors. Like I talked about supply chain basically. Now, what company wants, like whether it will adopt AI or not, that is a question you had, and how it will, like leverage or optimize their operational challenges. Okay, so now the thing is, the first thing is that you need to figure out that what is your grassroots level problem. Okay, that a problem statement you are facing. Whether the problem statement is storing your data, you haven't got digitized yet, like the company is not, like haven't got digitized yet, doesn't have any digital infrastructure so far. Okay, so let's say if I talk about a fintech company or a bank, they say a bank is digitized because like every day the millions of transactions is happening and everything is in the on the system. So there are centralized system, built-in systems where they are storing their data, their transactions. So everything is carried out there. Now, if I talk about some core company, let's say you have talked about a construction company. So we are starting from a very granular level where it doesn't have a digitized system, first of all. So talking about the AI there will be kind of, like uh, probably we can talk, but firstly we have to build the digital transformation of the, like build the, basically transform the business fully digitized. Like we have to bring the business to a digitized world. Because if the data is not there in the centralized system, then we cannot think about or talk about the AI or anything else. Because if you are still working on the files or everything, then we actually cannot think about that. So first we have to think about the digital transformation. See, there are lot of transformations that are going on in different sectors based on their needs. Okay, so it is not about, like only leveraging AI. I won't talk about only leveraging AI. But let's say your data is not digitized yet. So you have to first bring your or build a system where you can actually bring your everything in a digitized mode. Okay, so let's say if you are building a construction also, there are like billions of, like data, terabytes of data are coming. Then you have to first think about a way that how you can manage your data, where you will do your data entry. You have to build a system out of that. Okay, thinking of the AI or getting a prediction of AI, it is a far system. We won't be talking about that also. First you have to build a I would say a virtual system which is existing. Like your data is in the file, you have to first bring that in the centralized system. And how frequently you can bring that, who are working on that, like whether you have migrated to cloud or not. Lots of the companies are going through the cloud migration. So these are the digital transformations which are happening. So basically leveraging AI or not, that depends on your use case. Like what is the use case of the problem statement that you are facing. So definitely if you have the operational challenges, or what is the first thing, the grassroots thing we have to see, that you cannot, like do predictive analytics when you don't have any data of your company or anywhere in the system, right? So first you have to analyze the grassroots problem of the things, that where we are existing right now, what is the current infrastructure, and then probably we can think about that how you can migrate your infrastructure, like do the transformation of your infrastructure. So I will give you an example. The Middle Eastern project which I have done with the Saudi government, it was building a city surveillance system basically, where they want to basically identify the potholes in the road or the garbages if lying in the road or potholes in the road. They want to understand from the drone images, like the satellite images, either satellite images or drone images. So we have only images as an input, like drone or satellite images as an input, and from there we have to annotate all these potholes. We have to understand that where is this potholes and where is this garbages. We have to annotate those images, and based on that we have to figure out what is the latitude, longitude, and based on that we have to actually find out the closest municipal system or the office which is there, their ERP, like they have a ERP system, and we have to send the alert to their ERP system that in this place, in this proximity there is a garbage or there is a pothole, so you take necessary actions, something like that. So this is the entire system which we had to build with the help by like building a ML model of the violation detection and everything, and then kind of integrating with their municipal ERP system. Now here the first challenge we faced is like we have to think about that what kind of servers or where their data is lying, where we will get our input. So what is the our source of data, right? So first challenge is that where is the like the data is coming from, what is the source of data, or it is coming from any API call, or it is in the shared folder, or there is some other like application where we have to pull those images. So this was the first thing we have to find out. Now, they in Saudi they don't have the cloud yet, like that they were not using cloud yet. So they have their internal server system. So everything, their ERPs and everything was running in their internal server system. So the cloud migration hasn't happened so far, like, and they were not, like this due to security reasons or something, like it was a government project, so they want to maintain their internal server. That is fine. So we know that they have the internal server and they are not using cloud. So these are the first basic things which the problems, like we have to see in the problem statement, that where the problem is lying and from where we can start with, right? So to answer any questions on that, it is actually not a like a thumb rule for every business, like leverage AI, go and scale your business with AI. No, it is about your transformation, like where the business is standing right now, and where from there how it can adapt to the like the new technologies, so that it has to take the baby steps, right, to reach to the AI even. Like if you don't have the data, you don't have the system in cloud, you don't have a centralized repository, then you have to first build that. So that is the first primary thing we have to see for. I think it makes sense for you. Like, have I answered your question?
Dr. Jain, any more question or is it insightful for you? Okay, any other question from the audience?
Like, if you have any counter question, you can ask me. I am like open to any questions. Like, could I answer your question? That is what all I want to know. That's it.
Subrata sir, Dr. Jain is muted. Kindly check
Oh,
once.
okay, madam.
Yes, Dr. Jain, do you have any, like, could I answer your question?
Yes. But maybe because your expertise is not in the construction, so my purview is, for example, for instance, let's say from the user perspective, if I want to paint my house, for example, or let's say doing the plastering work in my house, do I go for traditional way or do I go for technology way? This is the first question, right? Second is, because the moment I say technology, so is this available in the market in the Indian context or in the city context in the within India? Answer is no. If it is available, it is not cost effective. So there are a couple of challenges, right? So that is the purview, because if you build up any startup, you have to think of the domain, as you correctly mentioned, the problem statement. So if I take the problem and the challenges are cost and the benefits, then of course it is not survival, right, in the market. So there
Correct.
are
Yeah.
there are ways how to figure it out, that how, as you mentioned, the scalability, the adaptability, the business model, right? The sustainability is the biggest viability, and the sustainability is the biggest
Correct.
way. And that
Correct.
is how the 90% startups are failure in Indian context. Maybe the volume is very big, let's say 3 million or 4 million startups are there, but out of what is the rate of adoption, that is nearly less than 3%. And why I'm raising the point of construction, because it is the largest employer in India after agriculture. So there is no other organization which gives the highest employment other than the construction in India, right? So if this is the problem and this is the volume, why not we figure it out the points? Why not we come out with the solution of the, because all their academics are there in this forum. So that is the point, that why I raise this point, and
See,
people
the
are
thing is
thinking in
that
that way.
that decision has
Yeah.
to come from the business, like what kind of transformation they want to go for. Okay, and
That is
what
the
is their
point, huh?
ROI on that? Like, what is the return on investment? As you correctly said, that if I am investing something, what is my return on it, right? Whether whatever, however way I am going, the traditional way I am going, I am okay with it, or kind of doing this transformation, I will be scalable and probably I will have seamless operation in the next 5 years, and I will have a better growth rate. Okay, so that
Right.
decision business have to take. It is not, like something which everyone is telling, okay, go and adopt AI, go and adopt AI, and someone is adopting AI. You have to see your infrastructure also, like what is your problem statement and what kind of transformation you are currently in. Correct. But
Correct.
mostly industries are going like I have seen that now. I will show the statistics also. So globally, there is 35% of the companies right now, like the businesses, they have adopted AI. So you have rightly mentioned that there are many companies who haven't adopted AI, and probably there are reasons behind it. Probably the way they are going, if they adopt AI, that can kind of will be going costly for them. Right, it is not like cost effective, or it is not sustainable for them, so they cannot maintain it. So there is so many factors maybe around it.
You can think of one problem statement I'm giving to you from the academic point of view. Why the civil and mechanical engineering are far away from the academics? That is the real truth in India, right?
Correct, yes,
if you
correct,
ask if you
exactly.
ask the colleges, civil engineering are no more in many of the colleges. They shut down the channel, they shut down the shutter of the civil engineering because there is no growth. Nobody wants to adopt the civil engineering. Now the second question is, without civil engineering, can you make the house, can you make the highways, can you make the infrastructures,
Correct,
can you make the
exactly.
dams, yeah, can you make the bullet train infrastructure? Answer is no.
So
So
there are
that is
various
a challenge.
factors. There are various
Yeah.
factors, sir, in it. I will say that our education system is also very much, kind of, like you can address them. Like they are
No,
too
no,
much like
this is the good
responsible for.
approach. AI in civil engineering, if it is there and the business is there, then of course the restart is there with the civil engineering. That is the point,
No,
right?
that is what I am telling you, that our education system hasn't, like seen that change, or, like transformation, which it has to be. Like which
Yeah.
there has to be, like our syllabus and everything which is taught in the engineering colleges so far hasn't transformed the way the age has transformed. That is
No
the
IT
reason.
engineer, no IT engineer will make the building. No IT engineer will make the
Correct.
highways. No IT engineer will make the dam and the other infrastructure project. So this is the biggest problem statement that everybody has to think of and come out with the solutions. Whether it is an automation in the mechanical engineering, whether it is an AI in the civil engineering or in construction areas. So think of and come out with the problem statement, come out with the solution so that it is balanced, it is uniformity has to be maintained. Earlier
See,
20 years back, everybody is coming with the civil background because there is a job available,
right.
railways are there, right? Then NHI is there, National Highway Authority of India. Then power plants are there. Now everybody is now washing away the civil engineering and come forward with this computer science engineering. So that is the biggest concern, because if technology is there, then why not the people are adopting the civil engineering so that they can take the minors of the AI and integrated all those things and come out with the new startups, new solutions, and build the infrastructures smartly.
Right, you have rightly mentioned this, but see, the if I talk about, like, the first thing you told, that civil engineering has completely closed or shut down in different colleges, right? So definitely there is a gap, like what the current civil engineering need is, like you have correctly addressed that, and what people are, like studying in the colleges. So there is definitely a skill gap. That is the reason it is getting shut down. Correct. Like the mechanical engineering or the civil engineering you talk about, the syllabus hasn't transformed the way like the technologies have transformed. Like, can you tell the syllabus has transformed in the same level the technology has transformed?
I don't know, madam, about the colleges, but more or less that if the problem statement is given to the academic, we have enough potential, enough talent in academics. We have no question about it. Everybody is talented, but the only thing is the motivation, the investments, right? Ready to resource, readiness. Have you make your resource readiness? That is the point. Has the companies come forward ki chalo bhaiya, we can prepare you, we can educate you, we can train you in the AI domain so that you can make your framework, you can make your curriculum. That is the gap between the industry and the academy as well.
Yeah, that is what, like, I want to ask the teachers only here. I think the people are from the engineering colleges here. So just I want to ask the professors and the teachers over here, like, have you seen the transformation in this education syllabus, like as the age has, like transformed? Like especially in the
No.
mechanical engineer, civil engineer, like these
From
fields.
Ma'am, actually, for the audience, from our perspective and from in under this, we are not autonomous. Most of the colleges are not autonomous, so we don't have this leverage to have this type of syllabus so that it can be cope up with the industries and the transformative industries, and that can be transformed and that can be incorporated in our syllabus. So it is very much impossible for us to give such of insight for the students because we actually about teachers are bounded to follow the syllabus which is prescribed by the universities, and we have to go on with that. The next level, the projects and all that we can do in the final years only, but previous in the previous years the theoretical backgrounds and the practicals one, we don't have these leverages definitely.
That is there is the answer, Dr. Jain sir. So if you see that let's forget about mechanical and civil engineer. If you talk about any engineering field, the students who are coming after 4 years, you have to see that what like they have learned in 4 years. Like it is 10 years back, the situation was different because there was no much that like we haven't seen that much of technology transformation. But now every day a new algorithm is coming. So now you have to see that with the students who are coming now from the colleges getting passed out, like what is the gap between their education they are learning in the 4 years and what industry is expecting from them. Even for civil engineer or mechanical engineer, you think that what the industry is expecting from them. I am not telling that nobody is talented. The students are highly talented. They can learn, but they are not learning anything in their syllabus. So there is definitely a skill gap in
So
the
I
academic
I
industry.
think many colleges has got their feedback. This is the state feedback that what madam has told, that students are talented but they are not getting the right skills what they are getting in the colleges, right? So this is the great feedback, madam, given by you, and people have to work and they have to really work hard in that area, because otherwise if input is not correct, then output is not correct. That is what I believe it, right? So input side, the academician has to be work out, and they can come out with the solutions, so that the journey is transformative, and it is worth as well for the students and for the teachers, because teachers are making their efforts day and night. They make their lectures effective, project work, capstone project, and research, and so
Exactly.
many things that they do, right? So yes, it is a good feedback that you have given to the
Yeah,
entire
even the
thing.
students are working hard. They are talented enough. But the thing is that they are like, as per our existing syllabus system, they are not actually, we can say that if you just, like compare the syllabus with any foreign university, or they are very much working on the practical use cases. But we are very much based on the theory. Even I have heard from some of the people, like some of the college, like engineering students only, that they don't get like computer science students, they don't get a single programming question in their in their curriculum, like in their question paper. Like it is all theory. So do you expect a computer engineer who is getting like after 4 years they are coming out, they can like program also?
I
Like if
think Professor Sarkar wants to say something. Earlier, he was with METI, if I'm not wrong, and because MET was good because they are well connected with the industry. They have very good framework and other thing. And right now, I think he is work with them. Let us understand his opinion as well. So, Professor Sarkar, yes, your point, sir.
it's a good
May I talk?
discussion going on, I'm enjoying it actually.
Thank you, Dr. Jain. Yes, you have rightly pointed out, and currently I am proudly, I'm proud to mention that I am working as a principal at Supreme Knowledge Foundation, who are organizing this activity. Now, based of my understanding in academics for more than 2 decades, I think that this is like it's only my personal opinion from the observation. Civil and mechanical, rightly you have mentioned that after agriculture, the civil engineering is having the highest employability, very much so. But if you see the in your locality, suppose if I am talking about one construction is taking place in my locality, not a single civil engineer is possibly associated with that, because the kind of skill set they require to have a building construction, possibly for that, a person hardly required to have an engineering degree, which is not true in the case of computer science. If you would like to form a firm of 10 people where 10 IT executives are working, at least majority of the cases, many of them must have a formal qualification. It may be BTech, it may be BCA, it may be BSc, or maybe after normal graduation they have done a formal education. But for a person to be in civil engineering, from the promoting till who are working, they do not need any engineering degree. Maybe that is one of the reasons why the civil and like the core sector there actually. It's true for the mechanical too. So to fill in the gaps, there are two reasons. One is that there must be a change in the production system, how the construction is taking place, which is not being done by a class 8 class, basically laborer. Then possibly all those engineering firms, civil or mechanical, they will look for the people who are basically having engineering degree. I'm sure IT can play a major role as far as this transformation is concerned, and we're looking forward. It's only my personal opinion for the observation. Thank you.
It's a very good point, sir. So one thing I want to mention is there is always a demand and supply also. Like since sir has rightly mentioned that we actually don't need, like if you see any construction site, they don't actually like recruit any civil engineer actually for the construction. It is just kind of done by the mayor, like the masons people basically. So, and there is an architect, like the architect will just draw the map and the masons are working. So there is no such kind of, like recruitment of the civil engineers as such.
So
But
there is a difference. I interrupt you. There is a difference. What he is telling is the local construction. What I'm talking about the construction which is made by big companies like say L&T, big name, big giant, who is taking the project of minimum project is they're taking is 4,000 crore, 5,000 crore rupees, right? Which means they are hiring more of civil engineering, but the skill gap is there in that way.
well,
So that they're not.
I was coming there actually. Just give me 1 minute.
Dr. Jain, I beg to differ a bit, because as you have mentioned, my previous organization, I have seen the construction taking place, as you know that, and from the foundation. So I have seen hardly, say, suppose there are 500 people are working, trained engineer is within 50. Rest, say 450 are only, they are not even, forget about graduation. Many of them are not matriculation pass, but which is not true in the case of IT sector, irrespective of the country. That may be one of the reasons. They do not need that much of skilled in that sense. They do not need that much of knowledgeable in the sense a degree, educated worker for the civil or mechanical, the major sector.
Sir, I am from NICMAR. That is the only university in the built environment in India, National Institute of Construction Management and Research. We do have the requirement of 3 million engineers on year-on-year basis. And the problem is what industry says is there is hardly means they are looking out the skills. And we do have, because we are in the management side, construction management side, so we have 100% employability since from the last 40 years. So the problem is, sit with the, as madam said, sit with the industry, understand the problems, and do the things. But the problem is civil engineering is the major problem in the Indian context, and infrastructure is the boom in the Indian, and that is how this AI will solve the problem of, let's say, the affordable housing. So now how technology will play a major role in the affordable housing. This is the problem statement. So now if AI come into the picture, can my house from 70 lakh to 50 lakh, will that be possible? This is the problem statement. If it is possible, then
yeah, I have a point here, just interrupting you, since you have talked about the affordable housing. So there are some companies who are building 3D printed house. Have you heard about
correct
it?
Correct.
Yeah.
L&T is there. One IIT Madras did the same project, right? When in Hyderabad also we did the pilot project. So there are innovations are going on, but the adoption rate is very low. That is 0.0001%, right?
Correct. Like it is not so much like applicable in the large scale still now in India, but
Correct.
they have started the pilot projects. So it is reducing the house cost to a kind of very immensely. It is kind of there is a reduction there.
So right now only 1 BHK it is possible, because there is no standardization, no customization. That is a major challenge, right? So there is no policy where we can standardize the 3D printer where anybody can take this design and they can print their houses. So that is the major concern right now. Research is going on. So might be in the next couple of years, the people have come out with the standardization and everybody can print their house. and which can be printed within 3 days and 4 days time.
Yeah, so that's what I want to say, Dr. Jain. So there is always a demand supply curve. So as you were saying, I will, like go by that only, that you are giving a data that there is a, like demand of so many civil engineers, but you are not getting that, like that many talents. But having said so, also, like if we have to see that, like the kind of transformation which is happening. It is, see, like we are talking about AI in the computers and everything, right? Right, likewise there is, so like the housing factor we talk about, like there is a 3D printing houses which are kind of, like now the 3D technology has come into the picture. Okay, so now the thing is that whether the civil engineers are having those kind of knowledge, like like using 3D technology or taking it to the next level, how they can take it to the next level, like it is happening in the other developed countries like China or US or any other, like other developed countries. So that is the question, like you have to think about that, whether the students coming out with that if like sufficient knowledge to take the latest technologies to the next level.
I think we can get with you. Otherwise, the time is going on,
Yeah,
so we
sure.
can go ahead with the
Yeah,
AI. This, yeah.
right.
Thank you, Dr. Jain, for such a insightful discussion. That is also required. This is a part of
No, if you need more insights, sir, you can connect me personally.
Yes.
I can give you many things because I'm in the market since from decades, right? And
Yes, I
we
know.
more or less, yeah.
Yeah, right. So let's go to some slides quickly. So we are in the shortage of time now. So when we talk about the scalable AI architecture, so we think about these components. So the first one actually comes as data management. So data is very, very important. So everywhere we are talking about data only. So data management is a very important part here, like how you're storing the data, how you're collecting the data. As someone has rightly mentioned that it is a big challenge to collect data, the real-time data. And we have to actually sometimes use the paid services to get the data, the real-time data. So there are some startups who are working also to, like to make the data, like they collect the data, they keep the process the data, and you get the fully processed and clean data. So they take some charges for that, but there are certain ways that you can do the data collection. Depending on the use case of the business, basically they can do their collection. Then data processing and cleaning, of course, this is the next part, and data pipelining. So how you're building your storage, how you're getting your frequency, how you're feeding, like getting the feed of the data, what is the frequency of data feed. So all these factors come under the data management. How big is the data? There is a latest concept now, like keeping the data in the blockchain nodes. So that is another thing that where you can actually do some decentralization or decentralized data management basically. So this is a new, I think some pilot projects are going on that. So this is one important factor. Then computing resources. So we have talked about cloud versus on-premise solution. So some companies still use on-premise solutions, like I talked about the Saudi government one. They are still on their on-premise solution because of so many factors like security issues and everything. But everyone cannot afford a on-premise solution because they have to think about so many factors. Like they have to see a server room, they have to pay for the infrastructure, they have to buy the servers, they have to maintain the servers, they have to keep different people, like altogether a different team to manage the entire infrastructure of the platform. So there are so many things. On the other hand, cloud, it is kind of pay as you go. So we are getting everything ready. We are getting, like we want one VM, we can just like buy it from the cloud. One virtual machine, we want a database, we can buy it from the cloud. So everything is ready in the cloud. So we are just paying what you're using, and we are like kind of, it is very convenient for us. So I think the many companies are going for cloud migration until and unless there are like specific use cases, like they don't want to go at all. Okay. Then distributed computer frameworks, I already talked about, like where like basically segregating your servers and the instances of the cloud and distributing your networks, basically building the framework on that. Then specialized hardware. So basically, if you have any IoT devices you have integrated IoT devices, like for the supply chain, I can talk about there are some IoT devices for the temperature management sensors. Then for the like if it is in the humidity control sensors, like whether the food is, like if it is it is a logistics of food chain, then they maintain some temperature and humidity in the truck itself. So all these factors are there, like if you're using any specific hardware, so that resource and pulling data from that hardware itself to the cloud is also an important factor. So there the IoT comes into picture. Then the model management. So model versioning and model tracking. So this is another important factor. So model means here we talk about the AI models. So how you are versioning it, like you are auto-tuning it, tuning it, or how you are deploying it, monitoring it, tracking it. So all these factors come into that. Then continuous integration and deployment. This is another factor which is like everyone, I think all the companies or all the startups are taking now, because anything you deploy, it is kind of getting integrated to the staging system or the production system. So basically when we develop, we have the three servers. One is development server, staging server, and production server. Mostly many people can use more or less servers based on their requirements, but mostly I'm talking about the standard thing. So whenever the developers build anything and they deploy anything, it is kind of getting continuously like integrated with the staging server. So anything you deploy, that integration is done. So you can actually build that CI/CD pipeline. Then model optimization techniques. So there are so many techniques where you can optimize the models. So these are some of the like things which you have to think about, like while building of the scalable architecture. Now there are microservices architecture, which I already talked about. Containerization and orchestration, this is a very important part. When we talk about the Dockers and Kubernetes, where you can actually containerize your entire development model and you can deploy it in any other system. So that is like you are taking the image of the existing one and you are deploying it. So it is another important technology which we are using. Monitoring and logging. So there is a continuous performance monitoring and logging and auditing in the cloud itself. So when you are using the cloud APIs or the microservices, there are continuous logging of the data. So anybody wants to see the cloud log, they can see that where the API has failed, which API hasn't worked, or has gone to the dead letter box. So everything you can actually see the performance. Even you can health check of the APIs, like how the APIs are performing, whether their server is down or they're up. So every alerts you are getting on that on the cloud system itself. Then system and compliance. This is again another important thing. Data privacy. Data privacy, when we talk about, there are so many data privacy things which we, or data policy, like we have to think about, especially if it is compliant to GDPR or not when we are, like dealing with the Western project. So it is very, very important. So Data Protection Act, like as per the Data Protection Act, we have to protect the sensitive information, client sensitive data. So all this information we have to protect. So we have the, like on the similar note, we have the access control. So access control mechanism is being put, like the access is given to only the specific user, the specific access is given, so that like they cannot, like use the entire, or and redundant access is not given, so that they cannot, like take the advantage of the system or anything they can do on the system. So all these things actually are taken care to, like increase the security and compliance. Then user interaction and interface and interaction. This is my favorite one, that is API and user interface. This is one of the most important thing. Now many people talk about AI, many people talk about model building, but if you don't know how to build APIs or microservices, then it is of no use. Because why I'm saying this, you build a model, but you cannot bring that model, you cannot show it that model to the user. See, even Netflix is given as a recommendation engine, right? But if the Netflix front end is not there, Netflix is calling that model through some microservice or API. Okay, so that model is basically wrapped under a API, and with the API is getting called in Netflix. So Netflix doesn't have to worry that which model is being built, how the model is trained, where the model is deployed. The model output is given through API. Let's say it is not Netflix, it is some other system which is using it. And it is kind of, let's say Netflix is built in Python. I am just taking an example. And the model is also built in Python. So one can say that, okay, the Python front end is actually calling the Python model. Okay, but if I am using some front end in Blazor or in .NET, okay, so is the API agnostic, like the language agnostic? Yes. Any language, like any language I am using in my front end or any other system, I can actually call those APIs, because it is a REST API which is coming, like which is giving me the data. I can do the fetch things, I can do the posting things. So there are several methods of it. So it is basically the language agnostic. So any system agnostic, infrastructure agnostic. So anybody using any kind of system, any kind of front end, any kind of basically any kind of a platform, they can use the APIs. So that there is, I think that is a huge thing which people I think people have to learn, like how to build the APIs or the microservices. Even they know how to build model, then have to, I think, know this thing, that how to build a microservice and how to scale it. That if you have built a model, that is fine, but you have to use that model also, because end users won't understand that model. So how you will scale that model? So that is very important. Any questions on this?
I think energy management is the area nowadays which people are talking about. I'll give you one instance. There is a site, I could not name it, where they have installed 10,000 sensors in one use case, and they have to connect it end to end. Now, what is the challenge? The energy is the challenge. The billing of the sensors and the routers and the connected servers carries a cost of energy. Cost is itself is 1.5 lakh rupees per month, which is a concern for the industry, right? So then they call to the vendor and ask the energy efficient sensors. So energy plays a very important role while you take any decisions in the long projects, in the bigger projects, right? Where
Correct.
resources are
Yeah.
there, connections are there, and so forth. So that is again the challenge.
Correct.
Maybe
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
maybe if the sensors are operating through renewable energy, that is a good use case for the industry, where they can invest one time and they can do the project for the next 3 years, 4 years down the line.
Yes, right. And another instance I will give you, there are some IoT devices like the sensor devices which are required, which is used in very remote areas, like there is no internet. So basically it
Then
can
in that
run.
case, edge
Yeah.
computing plays a very important role, right?
Yeah, basically they have to actually, like, out of the network they have to run the devices, and then when it comes to the network, then they have to pull the data from the system. So
वो
there
तो
are so
मैडम
many
कोल्ड
factors.
चेन में भी कोल्ड चेन में भी वही प्रॉब्लम है. फॉर एग्जांपल, if the truck is passing from taking the milk products from point A to point B, and the band and the length is 400 kilometers, where the truck is gone through the jungles. So again the problem is same, right? So where there is no network,
Right.
right?
Yes. So these things are all coming under the computer resources thing. So basically you have to take the decisions based on the problem statement you have. And accordingly you have to use the sensors. Like what kind of basically the circumstance you have, the environment you have, and what is a problem statement there. Like you talked about this energy billion and all. I talked about the like out of the network, there is no network at all, very remote area, like if you have to use any sensor. So you have to use your devices accordingly. Okay, so going to the next slide. Okay, so scaling patterns in what we see generally is horizontal versus vertical scaling, and this is the best image I have got. Kind of this bus image. So horizontal scaling, what we call as scale out, and vertical scaling, what is kind of scale up. So basically, if you see this bus image, like if you have a demand of like more buses in a route, then you just increase the bus numbers. So that is the part of the horizontal scaling. And vertical scaling is you just increase the space in the bus. So you have put a double decker in a bus. So that is vertical scaling. Now, can anybody say that where the vertical scaling can be used, where horizontal scaling can be used, or which one is better? Any example? So which one do you think that people will opt for, whether it's scale up or scale out?
I think scale up is effective.
Scale out, right?
Scale up is scale up.
Scale up. Okay. Anybody else?
Because scale out will take more space, right? And space is the constraint. If you take the cities like Mumbai, then again there's a challenge, right? So where every inch has a cost. So if you go for scale out, then you are finished in terms of infrastructure cost, right? But scale up will save you much cost about the operational cost, infrastructure cost, and many things, right?
Yeah. Anyone else want to answer on this? So again, I will tell you that this is basically on the use cases. So basically scale up is very convenient when you are talking about the database scaling up. Okay, like database storage you are scaling up. Like you are just putting it in like more, like storage systems or CPUs or GPUs you are giving it to so that it can scale up, or the servers you are scaling up. But scaling out is also kind of, like important, where you need to be, like create the instances of different systems, like create the instances of the system, basically in the distributed network. So they are actually, you are scaling out. You are just creating the instance of the same system in different nodes or different distribution or different distributive channels, I would say. So there are different use cases for this. Yes.
Ma'am, Prabhu D wants to share his view on with
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Please.
Madam, my humble submission is that this franchisee they are providing, no, madam. Can we take it as an example for scale out, madam? Because same
Yeah,
replicant.
right. Yeah. Yeah, you can go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
But for scaling up, I couldn't provide any valuable suggestions, madam. But for scale out, I think franchisee is a very good example, madam. Because
Yeah,
they
there
are
are so
meeting the
many
replica.
examples actually. So many examples are there. What I'm telling is that, see, this depends on basically the use case of the business, like what they are solving basically. So scale out won't work like where you really need the scale up thing. So if the scale up is working for there, actually you don't need the scale out thing there. Okay, let's say for the CDNs, the edge computing, you need to scale out because it's depending on the zones. So what is CDN? CDN is basically when edge computing is used, where you have to put your server very near to your location client, right? So that like there is no latency and all. The data feed and all are very seamless. If there is a big data, the feed is very seamless. So those things, the scale out is required. You cannot scale up putting everything in a centralized server and you are just scaling up it. Like continuously, you are just like adding the storage and the cost to it associated to it. So there are actually factors like where you need the scale up and where you need the scale out. So both the things are important. It just depends on your use case, that what kind of problem you are solving. Depend on that, you have to opt for the scaling. I think that answers.
Okay, madam.
Okay, then the microservices I talked about. So mostly I have talked about that monolithic, from monolithic to we have changed to like come to the microservices now. We have the serverless architecture now, like event-driven architecture, wherein any event happening, like say I am ordering something, so that time only my order service is getting called. Okay, so any like it is basically like allocating your resources based on whatever event is happening, taking place. So it is very effective, like for the banking system, for the financial systems. So any other applications where like so many millions of transactions are going on. So kind of if one transaction is failing, also it is getting picked up by the other instance of the service. So that is how the event-driven architecture works. Then data sharding. Data sharding is basically pooling your data, that is big data, into the small sources and kind of giving you the feeds. Like if you want to, like take out basically the, let's say you are fetching a very big data. So it will be coming in a, like the shards of data. So it will be just distributing it in different shards, like just in the smaller data chunks, and it will be continuously giving you the feeds. So that is one of the example of data sharding. Caching is very important, wherein say let's say like I am logging into the system, and now most of the systems are kind of session is holding your like the username password, so you don't have to log in again. But let's say the session is not holding, you don't have a session management. So I'm logging into the system, so I'm just calling a API that authenticate my login. Okay, now it is kind of in the cached, like if you have validated your login, so it is kind of cached for, let's say for a time, let's say 30 seconds or 1 minute, it is cached, so that the API unnecessary API calls are not made to increase your cost. So if the same thing is happening, it is kind of cached for 30 minutes, so the same reply will be coming from the cache only. That if you have once successfully logged in and it is validated, then it will be coming from the cache only, that it is validated. So that is how the caching works. So it is very effective again. Load balancing, like load balancing is that APIs are and the other, like the microservices or the gateways, basically, the event-driven architecture, what we are talking about. They are very effective in balancing the load. That means like if certain like services is very busy, then they can actually like allocate or create the instance of the service, and they can actually pass the request to that instance. So it is kind of automatically done, like the allocating and allocating of the resources is automatically done to balance the load. So these are the different important factors. Apart from that, there are many other factors like authentication, then aggregation. You can actually like aggregate the data based on different logic. Let's say you want to pull the customer data, on that you want to put the customer feedback also, what the like the product he has bought also, and on the product you want to feed also, like take the feedbacks of different customers on the similar product. So the entire thing you want to aggregate and pull together. So there are lots of things which you can actually just work on the cloud, like this aggregation, authentication, your identity management, load balancing, caching. So all these things are the different factors which actually like works as a scalability pattern. Yeah, so any questions on this slide? I think we are just in the time only, so I will just like go a little bit fast now. So these are some of the slides which are like identifying some microservices in the AI applications. So basically data ingestion service, model training service, model service, inference service, monitoring and logging service. I think I have already like told about these things, like how you can build the data in pipeline, and like this is very effective. Then how to train model. Mostly the cloud is giving you the auto ML features now. So basically you don't have to do the feature selection or the feature engineering part. It is kind of the model is automatically like selecting the features, and it is training the model. So most of the cloud MLs are now auto ML features. The main ML ops is very important, like how the model is deployed, monitored, and tracked. So ML ops is fully automated in cloud now. So basically, the most of the cloud system is giving the like in Google also there is Vertex AI. So it is a like it is giving you all the auto ML features, wherein it is very seamless to train a model and then service the model, monitor the model, track the model, how it is performing. So these applications are very seamless. Then design contributions of microservices is API design, like where you have to think about like how you will design your services, how you want to design your data architecture. Service communication is one of the important parameter, and that is kind of the building the event driven side, wherein you have to understand that how you will like allocate and deallocate the resources based on the request, basically, which is a commit. Then another important factor is security. Security is a very very important factor, and every company has their own data policies, like how they will like see the data and what are the things they want to mask, the client sensitive information they don't want to show, or like some characters they want to mask. So those things are very very important for the data security. So going to the next slide. So again, scaling up in cloud. So as I talked about auto ML ops, the data pipelining thing, we have the Azure Data Factory. There are so many things actually there. In Amazon also it is there, AWS. Then in Google also there. So every cloud solution will give you the data pipelining feature. Then one more important concept, single tenant and multi-tenant. So when your application is only catering to one user, and you are creating the instances of the application, and one instance is catering to one user, that is kind of single tenant application. But when we talk about multi-tenant, basically your application is catering to multiple users. Now when I talk about, let's say you have built an e-commerce site, okay, so your e-commerce site is catering to multiple customers, multiple user bases there. So that is a multi-tenant architecture. Basically it is giving the same application to different users depending on different methods. So what are those methods? Like for there are some partitioning techniques where they are actually segregating the client information, like from one client to the another client. So there are some partitioning techniques in the database. There are some containerization techniques, like in the blogs, if they are maintaining any user photographs or user like preferences, then those are basically containerized based on the user only, and the other user cannot see or cannot access the like different users containers. So those are the different factors in cloud where you can actually achieve multi-tenancy or multi-tenant condition. Then there are so many other factors, like like private cloud, hybrid cloud, public cloud. So those things are also there, where you want to use like the mixture of both private and public cloud. If you want to like pay only for a private cloud, so that also you can pay. So there are too many like basically flexibilities there, depending on the business use case and the cost they can afford, they can go for it. Containerization I talk about, like there are, like there are so many technologies available now, like Docker, Kubernetes. You can actually build the image of your code, and you can like take it elsewhere. So basically deploy it. So these are the things very seamless nowadays. Now the storage is an important, very much important part in scaling up. So cloud is already giving you the GPUs and the TPUs. Anybody can tell that what is the full form of GPU, TPU? Have you heard about GPU, TPU, these terms? So these are nothing basically the storage units basically. One is graphics processing unit and another is tensor processing unit. So basically this is giving you the storage, like more the data is, the big data you are using, depending on you can actually use GPU or TPU to train your model. So for large models, they probably will be using TPUs. Now, going to the next slide, this is very important and interesting, that whether to build a AI solution or buy a AI solution. Now I need some input on this. So what do you think is better, building a AI solution or buying a AI solution?
It depends.
If it is a health industry, then it will take time to build the AI applications, because lot many checks are required. So if you are affordable that you can wait for that much of lead time, you can go for it to build it. Otherwise you can buy it. If you are a businessman running the multi hospitals, and adopt the technologies in that way. Similarly for other sectors as well. But if you are a small business and you have time, you can build up because you are not affordable to spend money with the big corporate. So that is another solution.
That is a very good answer. So basically it depends. So on that, I would just want to give my interpretation. So as I have seen, the thing which is of like my significance, like suppose I am building like I have idealized, like I am talking about startup. So basically my product is a AI solution. I have taken a patent of it, and I have actually like thought of researched about this, which is solving a pain point of our industry. So that is anyhow I have to internally build it. I am not going to like go to the any other like service provider and tell that please you make it and take my patent and you make it, we will just be your service provider. So that is not anyhow going to happen. So something which is kind of my own intrinsic thing, that is, I am kind of like my product, and I have taken like I am the sole owner of that product. So definitely I have to build, I have to think about the cost, I have to think about the talents, like the resources which whom I can hire to build that similar solution. So those things I have to take care. But I will buy the AI solution when it is not actually like directly affecting me. Let's say I am building a SaaS, so software as a service, okay, and let's say I want a payment gateway. So I have a very good development team in house, and they are building a like a solution, full solution, end-to-end solution, comprehensive solution for me. But payment gateway, why I will build it? There are so many payment gateways available. Like I want like basically waste my time in building a payment gateway, rather than I will take a service like either Razor Pay or some other like UPI providers, where I can just integrate that plugin to that payment gateway and can use it in my system. Okay, because payment gateway is not my objective or not my innovation factor that which I am building. I am building my own AI solution, that but for that I need a payment gateway which I can just take from any other service provider. Likewise, let's say a chatbot. A chatbot, if I don't want to build, like it is just a like a side thing for me. Like it is good to have it in my website that someone is talking 24/7 to the customers, but I don't want to build it. I don't want to spend my time or my resources, expensive resources on one it. So I can just take a service provider on the chatbot and I can just buy that solution. So this there the actually the decision comes on like whether you want to build the AI solution and buy the AI solution. Again, if you have like some businesses take the decisions depending on your data factors also, like depending on the security concerns, like they want to build everything internally and they don't want to like depend on any service provider for their data, and they don't want to share their data as well. So they take decisions accordingly and then they build their AI solutions, own internal AI solution. But again, it solely depends on the business like how they want to take it up, what they want to take it up, and how they want to scale it up. So that is how, like the building and the buying decision comes. Okay, now there are some statistical facts or last few slides. So if you see, the market growth in adopting AI in 2022 is $86.9 billion. In 2027, it is predicted to $407 million. So from there, you can see a growth in the, like how, like people are adapting to AI. Then if you see the economic conditions, also economic impact. So AI is expected to contribute significantly around 21% of the net increase to the United States GDP by 2030. So it is kind of a significant GDP contribution. So this is a tremendous economic impact. Then if you see the adoption rate, 35%, as you have said that, I think I was talking to Jane sir, still 64% of the companies are expecting AI to, like, like they will adopt AI. 35% of the companies or the businesses have adopted AI. So this is kind of a approximate, like the statistical facts which I have got from some websites, from Gartner reports and Big Four reports. Okay. Then the job market. So job market, 97 million new jobs are coming. But yes, these are not conventional traditional jobs. So you have to think about it. There is a paradigm shift in the learning. So definitely the skills has to be matched with the current job condition. New jobs are definitely there, but people have to be flexible to learn new things, and they have to be adaptable also. Okay. Then investment in AI, of course, if you see that it is global AI investment is forecasted to reach around $200 million by 2025. So this is kind of a significant increase in the investment in AI. Okay, last is the MCQ question. So sir, I think I have completed my presentation here. So if any questions, I can take it up and you can solve these questions.
Okay, anyone having any question? Kindly raise your hand if anyone have any question.
It was a good interactive session. I got a lots of learning. Actually, I learned from this session. So thank you everyone, like, for such a insight. Hopefully I have also, like, you got some insight from my presentation as well. So these MCQ questions, anyhow, you can solve and get the answers. So yeah, with that, I will end this presentation for today.
Rubashi sir, you want to add something on this session?
Really an exciting and also it is engage the participation in it. And just to the class at the same time, all the attendees and others to the second part actively. That's the construction. I request all the attendees take it forward in the thing. Right. Interaction must be there. Right.
I think I just broke the voice. I guess, like, it's little bit slightly breaking for me.
Yes, for us also, I think sir's voice is breaking.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, audible. What?
So now you are audible, but before that you are not. So now it's okay.
Okay. And I told that like the purpose of any session is actually to have interaction, to have constructive discussion so that something new comes out. And in that sense, today's session was very much fruitful. So Dash shared all the industry practices he has over the years, over the decades. Dr. Jain and others Dr. Jayan and others have actively taken part to make it more constructive. So, an honest request to all the attendees to take part into the discussion so that the sessions are engaging and definitely interactive. And I'm sure that the resource person also will enjoy a lot. I'm sure Dr. Das, you will agree with me. Munmun, I'm sure you will agree with me.
Yes, sir.
And you also as a resource person expect.
Yeah. And also everyone, I will request that connect with me in LinkedIn. So if you don't haven't connected yet, so connect me in LinkedIn. So and any questions you have or anything, I also have any questions for you so that we can interact on a common platform.
One more point to add here, Dr. Munmun will be happy to know that across the country, 170 plus attendees, professors, researchers, industry professionals from almost 60 different institutions and organizations across the country are taking part here. It's a great achievement for all of us.
Very good.
Thank you. Madam, what to you?
Okay, thank you, sir. So anyone, any question left? So though I know it's very thought-provoking session for all of us, and every time, ma'am, we are actually wants to hear from you because it inspires us a lot to know the current trends and technologies in every point of view. Last year when you was in our college, then also we are so much of sessions in our heavy sessions. So this time also so much of thought-provoking and insightful sessions from you. So anyone still having any question left? If not so, sir, with all of your permission, we can make the end note for this session.
Okay. So now we request Professor Sumit Kumar Bhasnesar to give the vote of thanks and conclude the session.
Okay, hello. Okay, so as we come to an end of the third day of the 6-day online ATAL FDP on building the next wave of Indian startups with advanced computing technologies, today we had really two eminent speakers, Professor Dr. Bimal Kumar Roy, who spoke on AI and the startup ecosystem, opportunities and challenges, and another, a renowned speaker, Dr. Munmun Das, technology leader, Accenture, who spoke on building scalable AI solutions for startups. We are really thankful to both our eminent speakers for such an engaging session. Tomorrow, we have again two very informative sessions lined up. Session 7 will be delivered by Professor Dr. Amlan Chakrabarti, who is Professor and Director, University of Calcutta, who will speak on quantum computing, a game changer for Indian startups from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And session 8, which will be delivered by Professor Dr. Sandeep Kumar Shukla, who is the professor in the Department of CSE IIT Kanpur, and who will deliver a talk on cybersecurity challenges for startups in the age of AI. So again, I request all the participants to be present tomorrow as you were today for the very informative sessions. And with this, with the kind permission of our principal sir and the coordinator, we would like to end today's session and call it a day. There is an important announcement. We will be releasing the feedback link for today. Request all the participants to positively fill it up today itself. And thanks all. So with the kind permission of all, let us end today's session and let's call it a day. Good night, all of you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
You.
To Dr. Munmun, that's once again for 6.
Yeah, sir.